So it's time yet again to continue on in the season previews for the 24-25 season with the Buffalo Sabres here today. So the Sabres, see yet again another video where I'm talking about the long playoff drought. 13 years, we're going on 14 this year. But the Sabres are hoping to finally break that drought and get back into the Stanley Cup playoffs. So regardless, the last couple of seasons, however, have shown some improvement in some areas. But overall, they've kind of stayed in the same spot, standings-wise, over the last three seasons. In 21-22, they were 32, 39, and 11 for 75 points. They were 24th in the NHL that past year. And obviously that year was, they showed some signs of promise, but obviously it was the year they traded Eichel, and things weren't looking too exciting. This past year, the year before that, in 22-23, he went 42, 33, and 7 for 91 points. They were 20th in the NHL. They were 1 point from tying, but 2 points away, a win away, essentially, from making the playoffs. It was a rough season overall for them. Had they won a single game more, gotta suck. It's gotta suck. And this past year, they took a step back, 39, 37, and 6 for 84 points for 22nd in the NHL. All three of those years and the past 10 years before that, they missed the playoffs all of those years combined. So it's just been a rough time for Buffalo. They really can't seem to get over that playoff hump. They can't seem to finally cross that playoff line. Even with the young core they have, the guys who have been here for years, they just can't seem to get it done. And I think they will get it done eventually. I don't know about this year, though. It's kind of a little bit worrisome. So you look in terms of the guys they brought in and they let go of this past year. The lists are even. We'll start out with the departures list. Jeff Skinner, Matthew Savoie, Victor Olofsson, Dustin Tokarski, Zegmas Girgensons, and Tyson Jost. Skinner, that buyout's going to bite him in the butt a couple years down the road because they're going to have to pay him for the next few more seasons after that. Matthew Savoie, definitely a prospect who, when he was let go, there was some question to that. It kind of made you wonder, maybe Savoie facilitated that trade out, but I'm not going to make any theories. Olofsson, definitely a guy who was in trade rumors, was rumored to get dealt. He ends up walking in free agency. Tokarski, third-string goaltender. Girgensons was like a bottom six forward. They had to move on from him. And Tyson Jost, obviously another guy there too, who was kind of just a depth player on this roster. Guys they brought in, no really big names. Beck Malliston, Ryan McLeod, Jason Zucker, James Reimer, Sam Lafferty, and Nicholas Aube-Kubel. What they were really trying to do was build up their offensive and defensive depth. Getting Malliston and McLeod, two big bottom six forwards who will help out this roster. Zucker, good second or third line forward. Reimer is a third-string goaltender at this rate. Lafferty is a guy that could fit in well in the fourth line, and same with Aube-Kubel. So that's really what they tried to do, was try to center out their depth at the bottom of the team. Because you look at that bottom six, the majority of it is newer players who have just come in this past year. So again, that was one of their bigger issues, was definitely their depth. But another issue was their defense, and they didn't really address that this past year. So a little bit of an interesting move by the Sabres, but we'll see what happens with that. Your daily face-off projected lines, we'll get straight into that here now. You start off with J.J. Peterka, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck as your first line, Jason Zucker, Dylan Cousins, and Jack Quinn as your second line. So it's relatively young. You got Peterka and Quinn and Cousins, all younger players. Cousins in need of another bounce-back year. Same with Thompson. Thompson definitely took a step back this past year, especially from a year in 22-23 where the guy looked incredible and just could not seem to get up and get into that over the hump, and he took a step back this past year. Peterka definitely looked exciting last year. I'm looking forward to see what he's going to do in another full season with the team. Zucker on that second line, I don't particularly agree with. Again, that's daily face-off, kind of just being stupid. But again, I think that definitely they're building a really good offensive line there in their top six. If all those guys can pan out offensively, you got a really exciting top six there this coming season. Your bottom six, you got Zach Benson, Ryan McLeod, Jordan Greenway, Beck Malliston, Sam Lafferty, and Nicholas Aube-Kubel. So again, Zach Benson, third line. I would imagine he probably moves up to second line because I think Benson's definitely a second liner. Put up good numbers this past year in the games that he played. McLeod, solid third line center. We know what he can do. We saw with the Oilers. Greenway, interesting guy. He's been there for a while. We'll see what he does this year. And then obviously, again, as I said, they really revamped that bottom six, getting a fourth line of Malliston, Lafferty, and Abe Kubel, who are all going to improve that back end. Malliston, a good, physical forward, a guy who can definitely lay some hits and make some fun hockey for sure. So that fourth line looks better than it has in previous years. It's just a matter of will it click together. The extra forward that I do have is Peyton Krebs. Krebs obviously is someone who's been with the team for a while. He's a prospect that hasn't really panned out to the level that we expected him to go. So this could honestly be very well a make or break season for Krebs in that line. We'll see if he does make it, though, because, again, I don't have him in the depth chart. I don't believe he's signed right now either. That's probably the other thing that you have to talk about. Your defense, definitely stronger than it's been in previous years, but I don't know if it's the strongest it can come. Your first pairing is Bowen Byram, Rasmus Dahlin immediately. It's not realistic. Owen Power and Henry Yokiharu, and then Matthias Samuelsson and Connor Clifton. So, again, I think Power moves up to the first pairing again. So, I think, honestly, first pairing set, Power and Dahlin, that looks great. And then Byram and Yokiharu, not a bad second pairing whatsoever. And then I think if Samuelsson can stay healthy, he's a good defensive defenseman. I think that could really do some wonders for Buffalo. It's just a matter of can Connor Clifton play at that level. Because last year he wasn't that great. But obviously now that they don't have Eric Johnson for the full season, maybe they'll be able to do something there with that D-core. And your extra defenseman, Jacob Bryson, your 7th D. There could be some other guys who come into the lineup a couple weeks down the road. Obviously, training camp is less than a month away, and things can definitely change between then and now, so can't really speak on a lot of that. But regardless, I definitely think that the defense has gotten a lot better than it's been in other years prior, and I think that it's going to get really exciting to watch it this past year, especially with that top four and a full season of Bowen Byram, hopefully a fully healthy Samuelsson. Your goalie tandem is Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Devin Levi. Chances are James Reimer could become your backup goalie. I don't know what they want to do with Devin Levi. We'll see if he comes up and plays well this year in the NHL. But again, this past year wasn't that great of a year for him, so I honestly wouldn't hold my breath that much. But again, UPL had a really good second half last year. It's just a matter of can he convert that to a full season of being solid. Then I think the Sabres could maybe make the playoffs. But again, you're battling between a lot of teams who are honestly on the rise. You're battling with Detroit. You're battling with Ottawa. You're battling with Tampa. You're battling with Toronto and many of those other teams. You're honestly battling with Montreal too, because Montreal did get a lot better this past offseason. If Laine can convert the way that he's projected to be, he could become a stud. So Buffalo could be battling with every team in this division, essentially. So it's very keen and very imperative that they have a good start to the season. If they don't have a good start to the season, things could completely fall off the rails, and they might not make it again. So that's the biggest thing. And I think that, honestly, Kevin Adams' job is on the line. I think that this has to be the year where you have to consider if they don't make the playoffs, Kevin Adams' job has to be on the line for sure. And they bring in Lindy Ruff, which honestly, I look at that might just be a move to get some seats in Buffalo because that arena's been empty for a couple of years now. And it's been hard to see because I know there's very loyal Sabres fans there. But all these years of not making the playoffs, having honestly a baseball-like drought, it definitely shows some concern with this team for sure. But regardless, I definitely think they can make it. I just don't know. Like, they have to have a really good start to the season again. Like, they have to. They just have to. If they don't, if they fall off again and they are, towards the bottom of the NHL in November, then it's another wasted season. And again, as I said, Kevin Adams could be losing his job. So it's one of those things. And I've been following Buffalo for such a long time. And I started making these videos in 2020, and I had the hope every single year. I'm like, this could be the year, right? This could be the year they get in. This has to be the year, right? This has to be the year they get in. And I just haven't seen it yet. So I am not as high on Buffalo as other people are. And it sucks every year doing my division predictions and putting Buffalo at the bottom almost every single year because I just can't see them getting over the hump. Unless if their offensive guys really provide the talent that's necessary and Devin Levi takes a big step and that blue line gets really solid, I don't think it happens this year. But I do think that it'll happen in a few seasons down the road. I think this team, with the core they have, there's no way they don't make it. It just sucks because a lot of the years in the past, they've missed out on first overall picks. They've missed out on guys. They've had to trade guys for assets. And a lot of those times it hasn't really worked out. And again, like, they moved Reinhardt, they moved Eichel, they moved multiple other guys that it's rough to watch the Sabres. And I'm not even a Sabres fan myself, but my heart goes out to them. I hope that they can definitely get over this hump and finally see playoff hockey back in Buffalo, because we know the fans are there. We know the fans are loyal. It's just a matter of, can they get over that hump? That's the biggest thing this whole season. Can they get over that hump? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below on the Buffalo Sabres. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. I really appreciate it. We shall see what happens with this Sabres team down the road, but honestly, I'm not holding my breath for playoffs this coming year. It could be another year of disappointment. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.